Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. Today we're gonna dive headfirst into something kind of wild, like a head-on collision between artificial intelligence and the world of gaming and streaming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What we really want to figure out is this, could AI bots actually end up replacing those human streamers, the
Yep.
ones we follow and maybe even, love? It's a big question, right?
Absolutely. It's a huge question. And, the material you've dug up for this deep dive is really fascinating. Excerpts from a podcast called The AI Gaming Revolution. Will Bots Replace Streamers? I mean, the title itself gets right to the heart of it.
Right.
And what's really interesting is they have two hosts, Alex, who's a total tech enthusiast, and Jamie, an actual gaming streamer. So we're getting both sides of the story.
That's exactly what we're aiming for. Mission control for this deep dive is to pull out those crucial insights from their conversation. So where are we right now with AI in gaming and streaming? What are the potential upsides and downsides if these AI streamers really take off?
Yeah.
And then the big one, what might the future look like when we've got humans and AI sharing that digital stage?
Sharing that stage.
Yeah. All right, let's break this down. AI in gaming, it's evolving so fast. It's not just, those same old predictable computer control characters anymore, is it?
It really isn't. And I think what's really grabbing everyone's attention is how AI is moving beyond just being a programmed element, within a game and becoming something that can exist and interact within the whole gaming and streaming world, on a bigger stage.
Yeah.
The podcast you shared, they talk about this with examples of NPCs, those non-player characters, that can hold much more complex and varied conversations now.
Right.
It's not just go here, do this anymore. They can really make the game world feel much more alive.
It's like they're actually responding to you in a way, right? And it's not just, those in-game characters anymore, but they talked about those League of Legends bots that have reached these crazy high skill levels.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which shows you how sophisticated these AI algorithms are getting at mastering, really intricate game mechanics.
It's impressive.
But then you've got these virtual streamers like Kodamiko or AI Angelica, and that feels like a whole other level.
It does. It's a whole different game.
Yeah.
These virtual personalities, often driven by pretty advanced AI, they're interacting with viewers in real time, responding to chats, even showing what we might call a personality.
Personality, yeah, it's wild.
And this leads to that big question they raise. Could these AI streamers really step into the shoes of human streamers? It makes you think about what really draws people to watch someone else play games live.
Right. What makes someone click that follow button? So the podcast starts looking at some of the, kind of obvious perks of having an AI streamer. The big one seems to be availability. I mean, a bot doesn't need sleep or food or bathroom breaks,
Yeah.
So 24/7 stream is technically possible.
Right. They could just keep going.
I mean, that's a massive amount of potential content.
It's a game changer in terms of output. And they also bring up this really fascinating idea of AI being able to analyze tons of data, watching endless hours of popular streams, figuring out what works, what games are hot, even what memes are trending, and then incorporating all of that into their own streams. You can see how that could make them really effective at attracting and keeping viewers.
Oh, yeah, at least on the surface.
At least on the surface.
But then, Jamie, the streamer on the podcast, makes this crucial point about the human element. And it's not just about perfect gameplay or perfectly delivered jokes, is it? It's those real unscripted moments.
Right, those little things.
They specifically mentioned those hilarious rage quits, and those wonderfully chaotic, cooking breaks as the kind of unpredictable, relatable stuff human streamers bring to the table.
Exactly. And I think if we zoom out a bit, it highlights the difference between just putting on a performance and being truly authentic.
Being real.
Viewers often build a connection with a streamer's genuine reactions, their frustrations, their victories, their vulnerabilities. Can an AI really replicate that sense of shared experience and emotional connection? That's a core question.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so we're starting to see where the human advantage might lie. Let's dig into some more of those potential pros and cons of AI streamers that they laid out. So on the pro side, beyond just being, always online, there's this really intriguing possibility of personalized streams, tailored content. Tell us more about that.
So what's fascinating here is the potential for AI to tailor content to what you, the individual viewer, might like on a really detailed level. They give this fun example of an AI knowing that you're a huge fan of Skyrim memes and cat videos.
Okay, that's specific.
It is, but, weaving those specific things into your viewing experience, that level of hyper-personalization could be a powerful way to keep people engaged.
It's like having a stream custom built just for you.
Exactly.
That's wild. And the podcast also touches on how AI could actually help human streamers rather than just trying to replace them. It's more about teamwork, maybe.
Precisely think about AI tools that could automate some of the more time-consuming parts of streaming, like editing clips or moderating chat, freeing up human streamers to focus on the parts they enjoy most, the creative interaction with their audience, and the actual gameplay. And the idea of AI even suggesting jokes in real time is pretty wild, like having a co-pilot for comedy.
Like a digital hype man.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Uh,
But then we get to the cons, and this feels really significant, especially hearing Janie's perspective as someone who actually streams. The big one is that lack of true authenticity, that feeling that something essential is missing, almost like a lack of soul.
It's a tough one to define, but it really makes you think about what viewers are truly looking for when they tune into a live stream. Is it purely about entertainment and high-level skill, or is there this really important element of connecting with another human being, sharing their experiences, and being part of a community built around that person? The podcast suggests that for many, that human connection is a key part of the appeal.
It's like that feeling of shared experience.
Exactly.
And then there's a very real worry for those smaller, independent human streamers. If AI channels potentially designed to be catnip for algorithms and engagement start flooding streaming platforms, how do the little guys even get noticed?
This brings up the potential for a real shift in the streaming landscape. If AI streamers are engineered to maximize engagement metrics, they could end up dominating viewership, making it even tougher for new or more niche human streamers to gain any traction. This could lead to a less diverse and potentially less genuine feel to the whole streaming world.
It's almost like the algorithm is choosing what we see.
Right, and we might lose some of that variety and authenticity.
Okay, so the future sounds interesting, to say the least.
It's definitely uncertain.
The podcast explores some different possibilities for how this could all play out.
Yeah, one of the more compelling ideas they discussed was the concept of hybrid streams, a future where human streamers and AI co-hosts work together. This could take many forms, from a digital avatar providing witty commentary or even, playfully making fun of the streamer's gameplay.
Okay, that I would watch.
Right, to much more integrated partnerships.
That image of an AI avatar just relentlessly roasting a streamer for missing an easy shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's comedy gold.
It's a fun idea, and it really does make you think about how AI could inject new and unexpected forms of entertainment into the mix.
Right. New possibilities.
And they also touched on the more advanced possibilities, like popular human streamers potentially teaming up with incredibly skilled AI twins.
Okay, wait, AI twin?
Yeah, this could lead to levels of in-game skill and coordination that we've never seen before, creating a whole new kind of spectacle for viewers. But the podcast hosts also wondered if this might feel a bit unsettling for, blurring the lines between human ability and artificial enhancement. It's almost like that feeling you get with the Uncanny Valley.
Right.
But for streaming.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of weird.
Oh.
Now, the podcast you shared also gave us a little peek in some of the questions they were considering for a listener Q&A segment, which I think is a great way to get a sense of what the audience is thinking about all of this.
Absolutely. Hearing the kinds of questions people are asking really highlights their underlying thoughts and concerns about new technologies. One particularly thought-provoking question they mentioned was about the idea of actually dating an AI streamer.
Whoa, okay, hold on. Dating.
I know it sounds strange, but the responses they shared were quite interesting. One person was open to it based on the idea of shared interests, while another preferred the complexities and relatable experiences that come with human connection, with all its messiness and imperfections. It really highlights that fundamental question of what we seek in our relationships and our entertainment.
What we truly value.
Yeah.
It makes you think. So as we start to wrap up this deep dive into the podcast insights, what would you say is the main takeaway from their conversation?
I think the overall picture they painted seemed to be one of evolution rather than a complete takeover. They presented AI not so much as a job-stealing robot army, but more as a powerful tool that could significantly reshape and enrich the streaming world.
Right, a tool, not a takeover.
And it really brings home the lasting value of human streamers. Despite all the potential advantages of AI when it comes to being always online and crunching data, there are these uniquely human qualities that genuinely spark those emotional connections, those wonderfully unpredictable moments that seem like they'll be pretty tough for any AI to replicate.
They're just irreplaceable.
Exactly. That human element provides a level of relatability and community that, at least with current technology, is incredibly difficult for AI to achieve.
Right, and that's something worth celebrating. So to leave you, our listener, with a final thought, kind of echoing this slightly playful sign-off from the podcast we explored, keep diving into the exciting worlds of gaming and streaming. Keep celebrating those glorious human moments of victory and epic fail.
Yeah.
But maybe just keep a little extra eye on your snacks.
You never know.
When an AI might develop a digital craving.
I like that.
Right. You never know.
Never know.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
See ya.